stop scrolling, because what's unfolding behind palace walls right now isn't just another royal rumor. It's a slow burning storm that's creeping closer to something explosive, something no one expected to reach this level. And at the center of it all, not just Harry and Meghan anymore, but Archie and Lilibet.
Harry and Meghan Markle's surrogacy scandal has entered the mainstream media domain.
Princess Lilibet Diana had been christened. Why would they use a title for their children that represents an institution they loathe so much? She was never pregnant at all. Instead, the videos embolden conspiracy theorists. They're calling it Megspiracy, and the pair are being subjected to yet more merciless ridicule.
This crisis won't die down until the irrefutable truth comes out.
They're legally covering their backs. There's just too many unknowns. And then, of course, we have that the doctor that allegedly delivered Lily quit her practice 2 weeks after giving birth to Lily, or delivering Lily. That sentence there is missing.
Piers Morgan has stepped back into the spotlight, louder, sharper, and more relentless than ever. But here's the twist no one saw coming. He might not be alone anymore. Whispers are growing, not from random corners of the internet, but from people who are said to be connected to the palace itself. Quiet support, silent agreement. And that silence, it's louder than any statement. Because suddenly, reports are surfacing from both sides of the world, the US and the UK, and the timing feels too perfect, too aligned, almost like pieces of a puzzle sliding into place behind closed doors. And yet, no one is stepping forward clearly. No official voice, no direct denial, just a vacuum where answers should be. But here's where everything takes a sharp turn. The focus isn't just on Harry and Meghan anymore. It's shifting toward Archie, toward Lilibet, toward documents, titles, and something even more sensitive, their place in the royal line of succession. And once that question is opened, it doesn't close easily.
A lot of the royal watchers were complaining that they felt like her posts on social media where she barely shows the kids is almost taunting the king, who doesn't know these children, and how unfair this is.
Now they want to give their kids the titles of prince and princess, even though they don't live anywhere near the royal family. They don't do any duties. They do nothing to deserve it. They live in a mansion in Montecito in California and use their own royal titles to make loads of money.
This case about whether you think the birth was real, whether you think there was a surrogate, whether you think Meghan was wearing a moon bump, the fact is Harry and Meghan lied. Buckingham Palace lied on their behalf. There was a complete cover-up over the birth of Prince.
Because now the whispers are getting specific. Missing details, unclear paperwork, gaps that don't sit right when you start connecting them. And if even a fraction of this turns out to be true, it explains a lot. The pressure, the tension, the silence coming out of Montecito. And right at the center of all this tension is one question. A question Piers Morgan keeps repeating again and again and again. A question no one seems ready to answer because it cuts too close.
Well, Harry and Meghan have never provided any evidence for that highly incendiary claim. It's not like they haven't had the chance to. After all, they pumped out 6 hours of self-indulgent bilge on Netflix, trashing Britain and the press for its racism.
That Harry and Meghan is a bit like criticising the police force. I often criticise the Met Police. My uncle was a commissioner in the Met Police. Doesn't mean that I don't believe in having a police force. You can criticise the monarchy. And say, here are the fault lines, and do it clumsily.
But why would they want to inflict on their children royal titles that make them part of the royal family worldwide and expose them to the misery and pain and trauma which Harry tells us he suffers on an hourly basis, normally for large checks, by the way.
Harry and Meghan playing games that resulted in people unnecessarily questioning things. Again, every toxicity thing is result of them.
If Harry and Meghan are frustrated with the royal system, if they've publicly criticized it, challenged it, stepped away from it, then why are those same royal titles still being used everywhere? Why are they stamped across deals, branding, global platforms? Because let's be honest, Duke and Duchess of Sussex isn't just a title. It's a brand, a powerful one. And Piers Morgan isn't soft about it, not even slightly. He's calling it exactly what he believes it is, hypocrisy, on a massive scale. And the more people look at it, the harder it is to ignore.
Apparently, they invited all the royals to Lilibet's christening, but they all declined to come, as if they're all going to get on a plane and fly to California to embrace the people who've been trashing them for the last 3 years. But it looks like from the jungle drums, they have been invited to the coronation, right? Now, they're holding it out to make it all about them, make it a big drama. So do you think they're actually going to come?
Prince William doubles down. According to multiple sources, it's now a matter of when, not if, he strips Prince Harry and Meghan Markle of their royal titles. Fewer titles mean there is less of a chance for a degenerate like Prince Andrew, now called Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, to slip through. Which means, as I previously reported, Harry and Meghan will lose their titles, as well as Princesses Beatrice and Eugenie.
Because now this isn't just talk anymore. There are claims, serious ones, that Prince William is no longer sitting back, that this has moved from discussion to decision, from if to when.
Meghan's Netflix series, released to the world this morning, is packed with, well, they're not really revelations, are they? It's sort of rehashed old revelations with a new twist. As it turns out, we've apparently been wrong all along. Britain is a nasty, racist hellhole where only magnificent Meghan stood up to all this, and the world's biggest victim.
And Meghan just thinks she's too wonderful to be left out of it, and she will win because she'll go to court if she doesn't keep her title. I don't know, it's very hard. It's very hard to lose your title. But I do really hope that it's taken away. I mean, she's complained for over 6 years now what a terrible time she had. She was nearly wanted to kill herself. She didn't want to live. Then what's she trying to get back in there somewhere? Nobody wants her. She's not going to listen to anything she's been told.
Yeah, nobody set out to destroy you. You destroyed yourselves in this country with your ludicrous, hypocritical behaviour. The truth be told, what she just said is complete and utter garbage by the British media, the public, and the royal family that they've all now abandoned. That's the
And just like that, the spotlight widens. Because now the conversation isn't just about Harry and Meghan. It's about the next generation. Archie, Lilibet, more titles, more attention, more weight behind those names, and suddenly everything feels heavier, more serious, more dangerous.
The first thing is that these children are being raised in some type of freak show. You know, it's like they are Michael Jackson's children who were paraded to the world but covered up in masks. Yeah, but then remember, he covered their identities and their faces in masks. You know, so of course they're very likely to be messed up, growing up with such messed up parents who are using them in such a mucked up manner. So that's the first thing I would say. The second thing I would say on the titles is that I think what Prince William is acutely aware of, and this has certainly been my reporting, is that look at what happened when you allowed to run rampant for so many years, chasing the cash.
California Birth Index, and per the website at the CaliforniaBirthIndex.org, the California Birth Index, or CABI, is a database that stores records of births in California, tracks of birth certificates. Putting her full official name of Rachel Meghan Markle, you can see that the official record shows.
Think back for a second. The Oprah interview, that moment didn't just make headlines, it shook the foundation of public perception. Meghan claimed Archie was denied a title because of his skin color, a statement that spread globally within minutes. But Piers Morgan didn't accept it, not quietly, not politely. He pushed back hard because according to royal rules, long-standing ones, Archie wouldn't have automatically received that title anyway. The letters patent, dating back to King George V, are clear. Great-grandchildren of a monarch don't automatically become prince or princess. That's the structure. That's the system. And Morgan's argument, it wasn't about emotion, it was about consistency. But here's the real issue. That narrative reached millions, and the palace stayed silent. And silence always creates space. Space for doubt, space for questions, space for people to start digging deeper. And now, that digging is happening fast because Piers Morgan isn't the only one speaking anymore. Reports from major outlets are adding fuel. Royal watchers are watching closer, and Prince William, he's being pulled right into the center of it all because the claims now are bigger. Not just about Harry and Meghan losing titles, but possibly Archie and Lilibet too. All four names, one conversation, high stakes. And here's where it gets even more intense because this isn't being framed as personal. It's being framed as consistency, a reset, a new standard. The question is simple, but it hits hard. If you're not a working royal, why keep the title? And more people are starting to agree with that idea. More voices echoing it, more pressure building behind it. Look at Zara Tindall. No title, no drama. A respected life outside the royal system, proof that it can be done. But then look at Archie and Lilibet, growing up in California, far from royal duties. And suddenly that question becomes unavoidable. Should they hold titles tied to a system they're not part of? And then comes the twist. Because according to reports, Meghan isn't backing down. Not at all. There are claims she's ready to challenge any move legally, ready to fight. And that changes everything. Because now this isn't just about tradition. It's about power, control, authority, and who actually gets the final say. And just when it feels like the situation can't get more intense, it does. Because behind all the noise about titles, there's something deeper unfolding. Something quieter, more technical, but far more serious. An internal verification review. That's what's being whispered inside Buckingham Palace. Focused directly on Archie and Lilibet. Birth records, official paperwork, every detail connected to their status. And here's the thing about the monarchy. Folks, they don't move like this without reason. They don't open doors unless something behind them needs checking. And when it comes to lineage, details matter more than anything else. And this is where everything shifts from whispers into something that feels almost too precise to ignore. But because once the palace starts looking at paperwork, real documents, official records, it's no longer just about opinions or media noise. It becomes about facts, verifiable details, things that either line up or don't. Now attention locks onto something incredibly specific, Archie's birth certificate. At first glance, it should be simple, straightforward, just another official record. But it isn't, because reports claim that months after his birth, changes were made, not small ones either. Meghan's full legal name, Rachel Meghan Markle, reportedly removed, replaced only with a royal title. No first name, no last name, just Her Royal Highness the Duchess of Sussex. And suddenly, that tiny detail becomes a massive question mark. Because in royal protocol, changes like this don't just happen casually. They require requests, approvals, documentation at every step. So the question becomes unavoidable. Who requested it? Who approved it? And why? Because here's where the confusion deepens. Meghan's side reportedly suggested the palace was behind the change. Palace sources? They pushed back, saying it came from Meghan's team. Two completely different stories. No clear answer. Just a revised document surrounded by contradictions. And when contradictions start stacking up, people start paying attention. Then comes the birth announcement. And this is where the tension spikes even higher. Because royal births follow a pattern, a very strict one. Timing is verified, doctors are named, signatures are included, everything is precise, everything is recorded. But with Archie, that pattern didn't fully hold. The announcement came after he was already born. The timeline felt off, and for a period of time, there wasn't a clear, detailed medical confirmation made public. And then comes the detail that Piers Morgan keeps circling back to. No doctor signatures. None, which is completely different from what was seen with George, Charlotte, and Louis. And those signatures aren't just tradition, they're verification. Official confirmation tied directly to royal records. Without them, questions don't disappear, they multiply. And just when it feels like that's the peak, the spotlight shifts again to Lilibet. And suddenly, everything becomes even sharper. Because her birth didn't happen in the UK, it happened in California. Handled privately. No royal doctors, no palace bulletin, no formal display outside Buckingham Palace. And that contrast? It's impossible to ignore. Because when it involves someone connected to the line of succession, private isn't just private anymore. It becomes significant. And now, here comes the detail that's really sending shockwaves through royal circles. Because when palace advisors reportedly checked Church of England records connected to Lilibet's christening, they couldn't find anything. No official registry entry, no formal confirmation, no record tied to a bishop, nothing acknowledged by the Archbishop's office. And that absence? It's louder than any confirmation ever could be. Because in royal tradition, a christening isn't just symbolic, it's structural. It connects the royal family directly to the Church of England, a link that has existed for generations. So when there's no record, the question becomes unavoidable. Where does this fit within that system? And Piers Morgan isn't dancing around it. He's pointing straight at it. Because gaps like this don't go unnoticed, especially not inside an institution built on precision. And now everything starts connecting. Because this isn't just about documents anymore, it's about image, identity, and the foundation of Meghan's entire public presence. Because let's be real, that royal connection, those Sussex titles are woven into everything. Every deal, every appearance, every statement. And if that connection weakens, even slightly, the entire narrative shifts. Because without those titles, the image changes completely. And that's exactly what Piers Morgan is arguing, that without the royal framework, Harry and Meghan aren't viewed viewed the same way, not even close. And now there's another layer, because reports suggest Harry has been trying to reconnect with senior royals, reopen communication, bridge the gap, but those efforts, they're reportedly being met with silence. Because here's the harsh reality of the monarchy. It doesn't run on personal emotion, it runs on structure, rules, systems, and those systems don't bend easily. And Piers Morgan, he's placing the spotlight directly on King Charles, questioning why stronger action wasn't taken earlier, after Oprah, after the documentaries, after the statements. Because now, what started as tension has evolved into something far more complex and far harder to control. And as that pressure builds, it's shifting toward one person, Prince William, because according to growing reports, he's been watching, waiting, calculating, and now the moment to act might be closer than ever, because when you strip everything back, there are now 3 possible paths being discussed, and none of them are small. The first? A quiet freeze. Titles remain but slowly disappear from relevance. No announcements, no drama, just a gradual fade. The second? A quiet reclassification. Subtle changes, names adjusted, positions shifted, moving Archie and Lilibet completely outside the working structure of the monarchy. And then the third option, the one that changes everything. Full removal, no noise, no warning, just a decision. Final, permanent, and Piers Morgan's position hasn't changed, not once. For him, the institution always comes first, always, because people come and go, roles shift, but the crown stays. And if a decision is made, it won't just be symbolic, it will be seismic, because now there's growing belief that something is building, quietly, piece by piece. That silence is making it louder, because when no one steps forward to confirm or deny, speculation doesn't fade. It grows, it spreads, it sharpens, and now the real question isn't just what's happening, it's how far this is going to go. Because if decisions are made here, they won't just affect Harry and Meghan. They could redefine what royal status means for everyone. Moving forward, clearer boundaries, stricter rules, no more gray areas. And if that happens, then what we're watching right now isn't just a story, it's a turning point, a moment that could reshape the monarchy in real time. So now it comes down to this: what's actually happening behind those palace walls? Is this the beginning of a major shift or a storm that's been magnified beyond reality? Because one thing is certain, this story isn't over, not even close.